not complete until the clothes were properly stored.
The storage of your clothes once they were cleaned, I guess they were just hung up. We had on over our bed, we had a line inside the house that we hung up our clothes on. In my house now, I have clothes closets. In that time, there was nothing named clothes closets, certainly not in my house.
Persistent poverty also meant that families could not always purchase new clothes.
When you come from a certain family in a Bethesda, you just have some pants, or kind of trousers. When you come in the center, you kind of cooper. Because the two sides of the bottom, near out, because sometimes I jack from the door, kind of chipping as boy. So the trousers, whenever I breathe, sometimes. So I don't look like a rag up. They say rag up 11 and TV 12.
In them days there, you have one suit on your back. You don't have no shoes. Shoes don't come into play. Or what you wear. And you put down one coat in a coat. You don't have nothing underneath the coat, nothing. Just a long coat come down. When that they wash, you have to tap inside, kind of naked kid. Until that dry, you come out and put on.
The disposal of waste was an important ritual.
There were people in the community who had pit latrines. The hole was dug, and there was a structure put up over that hole, and it was used for, depositing human waste. But there were other persons who had just a hole in the ground with a cover. It could be old tin and galvanized, whatever they would put. And also, there was the pasture. In Papa Sammy's book, he spoke about having what you call a cooker bendel. We had one. We didn't call it cooker bendel, we call it shitty bendel.
Part of the ritual of relieving oneself at shitty bendel was measuring the distance between stupas. If they were too close to each other, it was said that their mama bobby are going to fall off into the frying pan. Their mother's breast will fall off into the frying pan.
When the sun is hot, you stay in the village and smell it. And that's where everybody disposes of the waste.
Other people would take the garbages there. We would take ours too. And it was left to the amount and what it was. We would burn. It's the same place we went for the feces and so. After that, they had carts that came around and they would dump it somewhere else. There was a man, Sidney Errol, who had a horse and cart. Then there was Mr. B, we call him, a Lawrence gentleman who would come around with his tractor and on a specific day, and you carry your garbage and he would take it away.
Maintenance of a clean environment was only one of the ways in which members of the community kept themselves in good health. Their next option was to turn to the many village bush doctors, such as Da, the blind healer. Traditional doctors came in a distant third.
When someone has become sick in the village, it is very hard to get them to see a doctor. People used to have to actually walk the sick to Carty's Hill
to see a doctor?
Well, they had some people who were very good at using the bush as remedy. They know a bush for every sickness. My grandmother was a doctor, actually. She would know a remedy for every sickness in bush. And they used to have a thing called a side would fall. And have somebody who know to push back up your side and get you better. And she would push up the sides. But after a while, we began to use medicine, like from the doctors. The main medicine you used to get is a thing they call quinine. Quinine was very bitter, very bitter. They said that cured everything. I don't know how that happened.
The nurse in the village was also the, I would suppose you would call her, she's not only the midwife, but she was the general nurse. I remember my mother, when she delivered baby, she got a base salary from the government, but then she was able to, was authorized to charge the people for the delivery, and she charged them $3.
After delivery, mothers would line the bed with mackintosh made from goat skin to prevent the baby's urine or feces from soaking into the bed. But this also provided one of the cherished opportunities when goat meat became available and was used in the preparation of kiddie stew and other dishes for the family.
Life is kind of tough, where you have to eat from off the land.
I don't know how we live so long, because we live on ground food in our days. Empty ground food, no. Potato, cassava, yam. Mama would say, peel that. And you have to peel it and you have to boil it and you have to take what they give you. Can't say you don't want it.
Sometimes the old lady never have no food for her. So we'll have to go and fad something.
My mother had a ground at one point, and I remember her growing yams. Then she'd come home with all this yam, and she would call and give them out to various people. She didn't sell them, because we couldn't obviously eat them all off, and she'd give them to other people. People would give us things. And so there was a sharing in the community. You could send to your neighbor and say, send me a pawpaw, send me a piece of pumpkin, and they'd send you a pumpkin. It's, that is what we did. And so I think that assisted people to survive.
There were plenty vegetables then, and they would cook a lot of the green vegetables, and the fungi would come behind, and the dumpling maybe.
The people in the village, they used to like to cook the different type of porridge. Some the rice porridge, others cornmeal, even the white flour, and even the banana porridge.
They used to grate green corn and the boiled porridge with the green corn. Otherwise into dumpling with the green corn.
My mother in those days, she used to have a special way in making dumpling. She would put the fire under the arch, put some fire on top of those dumplings. You will be getting half baked and half fried. My mother used to do that.
She boiled soursop, the full soursop, and she picked the full, but you have to make it properly full. And then she peel it and she boil it. And we have to eat it.
And a pan water you drink, a gut water. You know the difference of pan water and gut water. You know, pan, only hole in the ground will catch water and then, but the gut water, when the rain come and the water run into the gut.
Chicken and these things we didn't know about because you only eat a chicken like Christmas time. And after a while, Sunday time, you kill a cock, But we still love fish and seafood.
And we can remember the old lady put on she pot with no meat kind. And I'm gonna get 2 gut fish, shot 2 loggerhead, and come up and season the pot. Yes, so you do the live half of the land. For breakfast, you think any corn flakes and egg and bacon and stuff there? A toast potato, a little bush tea, and you belch broth, and you're gone to school. You bend up your book and put it in your back pocket and you're gone. You walk to school, and sometimes you ride the loco cart. Because the old man is always telling, hey, not trouble the loco, I go and go to school. And I don't know about it. When I reach to the crane and hook off on the loco cart, and that end up to the east of Bethesda close, sometimes I'll jump off and let the loco go and go about the business. And I'll get liquor after that. The old lady left 1 bread Gary, and cut up the bread there. I hide our lunch in the cane field so that the others don't know our lunch or how I eat. Because I'm so poor, not much different now. When the 12 o'clock come, I'll wait until they're gone and then I'll go down the cane field and have lunch. But lo and behold, you go in the cane field and on lunch day, mangoes you have for lunch. You just have a yam piece of cane and belch off. And then you're gone back to school. And you know what happened after that? Me have for my lunch before I go to school.
Residents persisted in pursuing a good education.
Charles Thwaites himself became, in 1837, just 3 years after the emancipation of slavery, he became in Antigua the superintendent of schools.
I can remember going to school was quite an experience because the children, not only the parents, but the children participated. And so on Mondays, sometimes I'd find myself with maybe 6 other children in the whole school because they all went to help their parents.
Mama and Papa carry us to the ground with them on Monday, right? And Tuesday, we go to school.
By Wednesday, everybody came to school. And Thursday, they were there. Friday, they're gone again.
Even when they were able to attend school, having adequate text was a challenge.
Having textbooks, as we now know it, was a non-issue. We had just a few books that we would share during class time. The Nelson's readers, the Caribbean readers.
It had a red cover in it, I remember. It had some wonderful stories in it, amusing stories, and I think Sparrow made a calypso about it. Then it had excerpts from Shakespeare and other literary pieces as the book moved up one. When you got to book 5 or book 6, I think, those stories were there.
And then there were series from infant all the way up. to senior 3.
You know, when they're trying to do the phonetic teaching, Dan is the man in the van, Twisty and Twirly. Those are in the books, actually in the books.
The math books that came from England, dealing with pound, shilling, and pence. Later on, we got books that were more conducive to the Caribbean setting.
There was sometimes a shortage of teachers.
Right after slavery, the church institution realized that they didn't have enough teachers to teach the number of young people and number of schools that they were opening. They had over 2,000 students and they had no way of teaching these children. And so they sent to England to ask the English people to send teachers, and they said, no, we're not going to send anybody here. And then they wrote back and told them, well, all right, can we send people there to be trained? And they said, absolutely not. Look there where you are and get people. And so began what is called the pupil-teacher system.
The highest educational achievement in the early days was 7th standard.
And so when they went to 7th standard, some of them stayed in school, and particularly the females, and they may do first 7th standard exam, they do second 7th standard exam. And what would happen is that some of those young people would be taken and made teachers, and they were called pupil teachers.
After that time of apprenticeship, they would become full-fledged teachers.
They were taught by the headmaster or headmistress, and then they went and taught the children. And that is how it is done.
By 1955, secondary education for the common man became available at the Princess Margaret School. Bethesda Christian Hill students were among the first to capitalize on this opportunity.
Being among the first 5 students who got a scholarship to Princess Margaret School. The 4 others, Eugenie Boyne, Verna Winter, Althea Cranston, Verlin Matthew. I remember how proud our parents were when we got that scholarship. We were given that opportunity to attend Princess Margaret School.
This educational opportunity produced more effective teachers.
Bethesda is a village that produced quite a number of teachers.
There was one lady by the name of Vida Martin. She taught my mother, she taught me, she taught my children, obviously at a private school. She was most outstanding of them all.
Now, Vida Martin was a product of our education system. I remember one time she taught a lesson. I have never seen a lesson like that. I became a teacher, I became an administrator, headmaster, I taught teachers, and I've never seen anybody teach with that kind of command and respect and result. And whenever the time came for, she wanted quiet in the school, more quiet than it wasn't, just pretty quiet, she'd just pick up the bell and go, ding! And you could hear a pin drop. And you could not move. You could not say a word. I don't know. She seemed to see everybody. And she'd call on you. Don't allow her to point to you. You're in trouble.
I remember a gentleman by the name of Mr. Morgan. He was from Seaview Farm. Mr. Williams, who was from Crabs Hill, Mr. Maitland Edwards, who was from Liberta, and also George Messiah, who was from Suckles.
Well, Mr. Messiah, they used to have movies at a place we call Union Hall. And he will dress up in some short pants, a broad straw hat, and this guy